Sri Lanka, where about 200 kings ruled. The kingdoms, to begin with, center at Jayawardanapura and end at Kandy. All these reveal centuries of unsurpassed grandeur of an island kingdom abounding in stupas, statues, sculpture, paintings, and other such creations, which have withstood rain and sun, the ravages of nature and man. The palaces of kings have perished almost without a trace. This is not strange. Nurtured by a philosophy that quite rightly taught that all entities are transient, the kings spent their labor and wealth to construct and create things that would enhance the quality of physical and spiritual life and the well-being of the people, that would last more than a span of an individual's life. The epic chronicle Mahavamsa, which attributes the beginnings of the Sinhalese dynasty to Prince Vijaya of Indian origin, records the subsequent history of the island and the kings who followed the legendary Vijaya. Pandukabhaya, who came some years after him, established the kingdom at Anuradhapura, which continued to be the seat of government of the Sinhalese kingdom for nearly a millennium. Sigiriya, a sanctuary and a center of government for a short span of 18 years, the magnificent crowning achievement of the creative genius and the finest flowering of the aesthetic sensibility of a people, a unique creation of human ingenuity and endeavor. The seat of royalty returned to Anuradhapura, only to be moved to Polonnaruwa in 839 AD during the reign of King Sena. This was due to strategic considerations. After nearly a century of turbulent times, when the seat of government was finally and firmly established at Polonnaruwa, it bequeathed to the rich heritage of the island excellent creations of art, architecture, sculpture, and paintings, all in their finest expressions of a unique tradition, worthy of the genius of the people. The seat of government moved from Polonnaruwa to Dambadeniya, and in 1273 AD to Yapahua, which was ideally located to halt the advance of foreign invaders. Once some stability was restored, a magnificent fortress city was created at Yapahua. The seat of government moved from Yapahua to Kurunegala, then to Gampola, and subsequently to Kotte in the western province, and finally to the hill country, then known as Kanda Udarata, which, becoming the last seat of government, was the tragic result of a series of unfortunate events. Folklore records that Kanda Udarata was named Senkadagala after the Brahmin Senkada, but it was likely to be so named because it was the rock where the invading armies were annihilated, as the literal meaning of the word suggests. Kanda Udarata was strategically located with natural defenses comprising forests, rocky terrain, and water hazards, making it extremely inaccessible to an invading army. The palace that is seen today is the royal dwelling, or the Vasala, of the last king of the Kanda Udarata. It is clear that some of the buildings that were part of the complex were removed at a later date by the British or modified by them for their use. Visitors to Sri Lanka from time to time have in their records left descriptions of the Mahavasala. In 1762, Ribs left a record of the palace of King Kithsirimewan Rajasinghe, a contemporary of his. Boyd in 1782 left a description of the palace of King Rajasinghe, while Johann Wolfgang wrote in 1736 about the palace of King Narendra Singha. The main door and the associated structures have not undergone any change. The 300-year-old wooden doorpost is a fine example of Kandyan craftsmanship. The open hall at the entrance is considered the audience hall of the king, where he met his visitors. These are typically Kandyan in design and execution. Considering the records of Lieutenant Littleman, what is found here has not undergone any restoration. Although the roof is covered with flat tiles, architects believe that the roof may have been modified or repaired, and as such, its shape may have been changed. The hall, where the king and his ministers met for official purposes, was known as the Magul Madua. In the Kandy Palace complex, the Magul Madua is an impressive architectural creation. Although this building is attributed to King Rajasinghe, there is evidence to show that it may have been constructed at an earlier date, even before his ascent to the throne. A number of decisive events in the history of this island took place here in the Magul Madua, enhancing its historical importance. "48 wooden pillars embellished with fine carvings can be seen here. The carved crown of the pillars and the carved beams can also be seen. Carvings at the Magul Madua exemplify the fluent creations of the Sinhalese wood carving tradition. As is typical of the traditional Kandyan-style roof, its gradient is steep, and the tiles used are the traditional flat tiles typical of the period. For the Magul Madua, which is said to have been a construction of the master architect and builder Devendra, the Halmila timber had been brought from Matale, according to folklore. The two parapet walls above